Hello and welcome to Nighthawk News. Today we'll be talking about stress and how it affects us during the semester. We will be interviewing a couple of students at different campuses and a professor to see what's the general consensus.
It's a lot of essays, a lot of tests, a lot of projects, and that's basically all I can really say about that.
A lot of it is just practice, doing things that I'm going to be doing in an actual career in the future, competing in competitions. I'm actually going to a conference in a couple days, actually.
Being online for a majority of my college year changed a lot for me when going back in person, yeah.
I think that the 1 year that I had to get used to being online kind of made me not used to being in person again. So now it's back to the adjustment period of being in person. So it's a little confusing.
I would say like reading, meditating, going out with friends helped a lot, during my stressful times.
I've been doing a lot of reading. Like something that I haven't done since middle or high school, just taking time to read a book that I want to read, just relaxing.
Now we will ask Dr. Marker what he thinks about the stress put on students during the semester.
I can't claim that I dealt with stress as a student especially well, any better than most. I think my experience was very similar to a lot of students at UNG. I was working 2 jobs at the same time. It's very difficult when you're a student and a working student to find any kind of balance. I just kind of remember working through the week, and then once you get to Saturday, I get to do whatever, and it meant a lot to take advantage of those times. And as far as stress from classes specifically, once I felt that I had a purpose for what I was doing, it was a lot easier to handle the stress. In some ways, I think there are more stresses on students. So what hasn't changed is students on this campus have always worked at the same time that they're taking classes, and there's always been those stresses. However, 15 years ago, students in college did not have to deal with a pandemic. Around 2007, 2008, even through 2010 and 11, we were living through a recession that just seemed like it would not go away. Sometimes when I talk to students now as we're dealing with the pandemic, it reminds me of those times. And so when you have students already dealing with so much with, classes and work and whatever else is going on in their lives, you really can't overstate how much more difficult it is when we're living through something like we are right now. I think any change in the way a course is taught is stressful, but I think students have responded to that differently. The fact is, some people do very well taking online classes, and it makes their time a little bit more flexible so they can deal with other things a little bit more easily. But for others, that's not at all the case. They just don't learn well in an online environment. And so I think you get the full array of responses to that. One of the reasons that I was drawn to higher education is because I figured it's college, things don't change all that often. And I've never been more wrong about anything in my whole life. Change is just a constant. And so whatever you can do to get into a mentality where you just expect things to change and evolve, and you sort of cope with it. And I don't minimize anybody's stress, because there are times when you're just gonna have a bad day. But the fact is, it's okay to have a bad day once in a while. You're not failing because you're having a bad day. I think if you keep your eye on where you want to be and why you're here and why you're doing those things, it makes it a little bit easier to deal with all of those stresses when they come along.
Now, thank you for listening. We'll catch you next time on Nighthawk News.